We turn now to the topic of annuities. Annuities are a series of equal payments. That sounds pretty simple, and I'm just reading this. It's payments on a regular basis that you might get. Think about retirement payments. Think about mortgage payments. Those would be annuities. Think about the payouts of a lottery. All those are annuities. And you can purchase annuities. Insurance companies sell annuities. So let's take a look at the different types of annuities. And there's two different main types of annuities. So one is you might get regular payments through the future. How much would you pay for that now? You wanted to buy an annuity. I would like to have $20,000 a year for the next 30 years. How much do you have to pay to get that? That's an annuity. Or, so that's a present value kind of thing, right? Or I'm going to put in money on a regular basis. How much will they be worth in the future? It's a compound annuity. So let's first take a look at the simple annuity. I get the same period every year for n periods. Well, that's the simple present value. Again, how much would you pay? What would you pay for that? That's always a present value. How much is it worth? What would you pay? Calculate present value. And here I can leave off, and I talked about this in an earlier video, you can leave off the present value amount. So, a lottery. I'm going to get $50,000 a year for 20 years. They always talk about that as what? $1 million lottery, right? Oh, I just won $1 million in the lottery. $50,000 for 20 years. But what is that worth to you today? You know, this last $50,000 you get in 20 years isn't worth $50,000 to you today, in today's money. So, what is it worth to you? And you need to assume some sort of rate of return that you can get. So we're going to use the present value function, put in the interest rate, 20 periods, $50,000, and notice it comes out as a negative number. It means you're willing to pay $679,000 to get this $50,000 a year for 20 years. This is what the cash value is in a lottery. In fact, maybe that's a good assignment. Take a look at a lottery, see what the payout is in cash value versus the annuity. And then you could calculate what the rate of return is that they're assuming. Right? What does the lottery do? If you take the annuity value, they just take the cash and buy an annuity. If you want the cash, they give you the cash. You don't want the cash, you want an annuity, they go buy an annuity. You go to an insurance company, buy it, and they pay you. And they're done. So that's a simple annuity. You're going to receive the money every period. Well, you're going to have a compound annuity. This is where you get interest on the interest on the interest. This is back to Einstein saying compound interest is the most powerful force in the universe. Here, I want to know how much I'm going to have in the future. That's a future value function. Okay, I take the future value, the rate, the number of periods, the payments, and here I have a present value of 0. I don't have any money that I'm going to put in initially. Simple annuities. So the thing with annuities, you don't have any lump sum starting or lump sum payments typically at the end. And we just use the simple form of the present value and the future value functions. Remember, annuities is like a mortgage, amortized loans. These are, what an amortized loan is somebody gives you money and you pay off money each year until you owe nothing at the end. Now your payments, you may have had this in accounting class, your payments include the interest payment plus some of the principal that you own, the amount you borrowed, so that at the end your loan is zero. Right? You've paid it all off. That's a mortgage. Right? It's an amortized loan. Amortizing, you pay down the principal as well as the interest. Well, what we're going to do here is it's a simple annuity. Just have simple payments all along, and I want to know what my payment is. So the present value is the amount of the loan. It's the amount you're going to get. The number of periods is the time that you have to pay it back. Normally, these loans you have monthly payments. So we're going to do it in months. So however many years the loan is for, we multiply that by 12 to get the number of periods. R is the interest rate, but it's normally expressed as an annual interest rate, annual percentage rate. Right? We talked about that. Well, that annual rate needs to be converted to a monthly rate. So we take the interest rate and divide by 12 to get each period. To get the interest rate for each period. And then we solve for the payment. Now the payments, as I said, every time you pay that monthly amount is going to be interest and principal. So think about this. Got a mortgage. You can pay $12.50 a month for 30 years at a rate of 4%. How big a mortgage can you get? How big a mortgage can you get? Well, what we want with that is present value. Right? We're going to want to calculate the present value of a mortgage, 30 years. So we're going to put in 360 as the number of periods. First, we're going to start with the rate. 0.04 divided by 12. And the number of periods is 30 times 12 with a payment of $12.50. And that will give us our mortgage. That will give us how much money somebody's willing to give to us. Okay? Now, as I said, when you look at interest rates, we can compare them. Some are going to be annual percentage rate. Sometimes people compound. You hear things on TV, right? The mob guys loan somebody money and they're going to have, well, that'll be 20% a week. Right? Wow. How do I compare 20% a week with 20% a year or 100% a year? So what banks and institutions are required to do is show you the annual percentage rate. Even if it's a monthly rate, they have to tell you what it is on an annual rate so that you can compare. I already talked about this. If it's not an annual period, take the number of periods times m times m, and take the rate and divide by m. I'll give you an example of where you want to do this, and we're going to get to this with bonds. I don't have 12 periods. I might have only 2 periods, semi-annual. If things are paid twice a year, then I multiply the periods times 2 and divide by 2. Let me just finish up here. Special kind of annuity is a perpetuity. This is an annuity that goes on forever. To calculate the present value, it's simply the payment divided by R. And you can switch these around, right? If you want to know, if you have so much money and you want to see how much you can get a year, you would take the present value and multiply it by R to get your payment. But This is simply a perpetuity. You're going to need to know that. So the value of a perpetuity, that means present value, right? The value pays $1,000. That's a payment. The interest rate is 8%. So I take 1,000 divided by 0.08 will give me the present value. And this table may or may not help you. I put it together and I'm not sure it's the great table, but you can always go back and look at it. The question marks here mean that's the unknown. I don't know how much I have today or what it's worth. I know all these things. Well, then I use this formula. Yeah, it's not that great. All right, so here's a lottery problem. We'll work some of these in class. All right, that's the time value of money.